Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're having a great weekend. The title says we're going to do something a little bit different today. Let's see if we can shed a little light on things. Maybe a little. There we go. I've had stuff laying here forever to kind of build a pipe for some saws. This one in particular. This is mandrel bent stuff. You can get online and find it. It ain't cheapest one to buy, but it ain't the most expensive either. It kind of cracks me up when I see people doing pie cut after pie cut and welding it together when all they had to do is get online and buy a mandrel bent piece. And that is aluminized exhaust pipe. I actually bought that in a U. I've got another section of it. I thought about using the U pipe and bringing it all the way out and around, but kind of decided against it. This thing ain't no work saw anyway. We've been over that before on the channel. I've had it out and worked with it, but I've got lighter saws that they probably don't pack the grunt, but you know, cut just as fast for what I cut. And you know, this thing's an old classic. You don't find them much anymore, and you don't find them that ain't got cases and stuff beat all to hell. And if you do, people want a fortune for them, which is understandable. This saw here would cost you a lot of money to get off of me, but what we're gonna do is see if we can pipe it. There's a lot of craze about pipes. I've watched the video that Joe done when he tested all the different pipes. Kind of what we're going to come up with here, but first thing I got to do is get this muffler off and get a little rough measurement to kind of see what we need to do. Now, I've got that turned away from me where you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, so that's why I was kind of fumbling around there trying to get that in. And those 64 mufflers are a little different. You can open those up even with still that baffle being in there. And this saw ran great done that way. I had a highway muffler cover on it for the longest time, and this one's going to be quite easy to do. And when I ported this saw, it looks like our polish work still looks good to you anti-polish guys. And this saw's had some time on it. You can see she's pretty dang dirty. I ain't gonna lie and say I've done production work with it or anything, but she's had a little time on her. It's OEM top end. It's still 85cc, has a meteor piston, which is still looking awesome. Port work still looking pretty good. When I ported that, I actually left that bolted to the front of it when I done my opening up, and then matched the muffler to it. And you're welcome to go back and watch the videos of it. This thing, I may link one at the end or put it up at on an end screen, but this thing kind of had its own unique sound. I mean, it's a damn fast cutting saw. It ain't no real high compression build. It does have the squish on it from what I remember. I kind of overdecked it. I'm thinking it's like 18 thousandths or something. It's really tight. Port timing on these old KS cylinders a lot better than what would be, say, on an 066. You hear some guys say that the 64s will outcut a 66. I don't know, that could be true. They only like 7 cc's difference in them, and you know, if your port timing's better on it and the moon and the stars align perfectly, yeah, you can beat a saw that's, you know, has more cc's. We do it here all the time, but anyway, what I've got to do is got to kind of get a measurement here of what we need to chop off of this. I'll probably do that off camera. That dang chop saw's just extremely loud. Would have been easier to pull the front cover off of the dang thing. It'd be easier to do that. I'm already laughing. Look at this idiot. I'm thinking if we chop it about right there and find me something to make a mark. That will work a-okay. If it's a little long, that'll be fine. May actually even be better to get the heat out away from the cases, but let me pause you guys. We'll chop this thing and then see if we can get it kind of fitted to that and tack it in. And your 064s have that because the muffler's the same to my understanding that the 66 has, but where this cylinder's 2 millimeters smaller, and it's just shaped a little different than a 66 cylinder. It kind of sits back in here that little bit further, so take that in mind if you're messing with one. Here's what we've got. About all of 5 minutes worth of work. Would we want to blow it out toward the bar? Might make more sense to blow it out that way, away from the saw chips. And what I'll probably do is try to make some kind of bracket to go from here up to here. And that saw's got a helicoil hanging out of it there. It may have been done by me, I don't remember. It's been a long time since we built this saw. And it don't have a chain brake flag because the cases are cracked up top here. They're kind of epoxied back together. That's another reason I don't really use it a lot. I don't know that you would break it back loose, because I don't think there's a lot of tension up here on this mount in the back, but a lot of your other saws don't even have it. You just got the same 066 or 064s have them everywhere, like 2 on the flywheel side, like 3 on the, I think I have 3 on each side. Been a little bit since I've had one apart, but they got 5 or 6 AV buffers to them. But up here where this one mounts, it's kind of cracked right through the where the chain brake spring goes on, the big heavy one that's a bitch to get pulled back and on. But what we've got to do now, and if you're curious, this is a piece of 1-inch pipe, and it's not going to take much to get it pecked down and fit in there. So I'm going to pause you guys and see if we can get that done. I think this thing's made out of steel. I better check. If not, I'm going to have to make one. We're in luck. I think our little Harbor Freight $70 welder will be just fine on that. See if we can get that fit in there and get it tacked into place, and bring you guys back then. It ain't perfect just yet, and I would love to say that was easy to get that shaped and to go in there, and we've still got a little bit of straightening to do, but it's not. It's a pain in the ass. My hat's off to you fellers making these. I'll bring you back once I got it tacked in. Well, guys, here's where we're at. Like I said earlier, I'd like to say that this was easy, but nothing hard about it, but just time consuming. Be better if a man could make him a drift to go down in there to swell those out, but we got it pretty good. She sealed up. I didn't put any weld over here on the sides because of where our bolts go, and I'm probably going to wallow these holes out just a little bit, just so we got an easy fitment of the screws going back in. But right here right now is kind of what it's going to look like. Bolted to the saw. Should escape out from the crankcase good. If you were following with it and turning it up on its side, probably wouldn't be a good day. Who knows, may regret this saw, may run like shit afterwards, but some of the ones Joe had showed in that video were, I think the one that made the most power was made similar to that. It was something somebody had done pie cuts, and if you do that, I was not trying to be offensive. It probably did sound asshole-ish, but just look around. You can find mandrel bins all over the internet. That one was probably like 20 bucks for that little piece of pipe. Honestly, that was pretty high, and it's a 1-inch pipe. And still had to, you know, swell it way down to fit the exit of this 85cc saw. So I don't know, just think about that. If you're using 1 1/4, 1.5 inch diameter pipe, it may be a little too big. I don't know. On a tuned pipe, no, but this is more like, this will be more like running an open header on a drag car. You know, is it going to make as much as an expansion chamber? Hell no, nowhere near it. But it should pick up some power, say, over what I had, just a piece of 3/4 inch pipe tacked into the muffler cover and the existing port in the back of the saw. But what I'm going to do right now is get it mocked up on the saw, and then we've got to figure out some other kind of bracket to go on it, because I'm not going to, I could probably Loctite the screws, it'd stay on, but if I ever did decide to take it out and cut a little wood with it, it'd probably end up falling off in the woods. But I'll bring you guys back once we get that figured out. Well guys, I've decided just I Loctited the screws going in. That thing's not very heavy and it should be just straight shot out. That flange and everything was matched to the opening of that. I did go in and grind on the pipe itself, which you can probably see it in the video, to blend everything back in. I used some Loctite on the screws. I think it'll be okay. The material I had, I thought I was going to wrap around that. Just way too thin. We probably will end up in the future making some kind of bracket on it, but for today, I think we're safe to run it. Maybe put it in a piece of wood. I'm probably gonna bar it up, put a brand new square ground chain on it, and we'll see how this thing cuts. I'll bring you guys back once I got her fired up. No joke, guys, it's the loudest son of a bitch I've ever heard run sitting here in the shop. Earmuffs. I don't know, don't know that it was that snappy. The saw's always been jumpy like that. We had a Karen, and it's rich as shit compared to where it was at. Had a Karen say, hey, you're just flicking your wrist and doing that. You can probably see me just tapping it. No, my saws are that torquey and that snappy when I build them. If they're not, we fix it, but 9 times out of 10 they are. That's a lot of how you can tell if what you've done actually damn worked or not. But let's get this thing barred up and go out here and make us a cut. You know, the wood we got ain't big, but it's hardwood, and it's, you know, something similar to what you might find at a saw competition. So let's go have some fun with this thing, guys. This is Oregon's, they call it. It's CL race chain. It's basically just, you know, it's a square ground chain. But I've not run it. I have run square ground, square filed chains. Don't know how it's gonna act, but I guess we're about to find out. Well guys, it has honestly been almost a year since I had this saw on a piece of wood, but I'd run it quite a bit before then. You'll have to ignore the dogs barking. The wife and my daughter just pulled back in the driveway. I don't remember the saw pulling like that and being that fast on the cut. Don't get me wrong, it's been a beast since it was put together, but it is god awful loud. But I'll just tell you, that pipe there works. It just flat out works. I hadn't ran it since I put the K&N on it either, but I mainly put it on it because that factory set up on it. Just anytime you run it doing anything, pulling fines in everywhere. But this thing is a handful to run. It is fun. I don't know that it's as fast as the 660 that we done all of the machine work to. Basically all this had done was the bottom of the cylinder block sanded, decked, whatever. I remember squish being really tight on it, and I'm pretty sure the exhaust roof was around 100 on it from what I remember. It's, you know, one of the old KS cylinders. I think there's videos showing the port work. I don't remember, it's been so long ago, but I really don't think I touched the lowers much on it. In an application like this where I'm trying to get more out of it in a, you know, a play saw kind of scenario, doing that stuff would help. Throwing fingers in it would help. I don't really recommend doing it on a everyday work saw or something you're wanting to pull a long bar with full comp chain on in hardwood. Some people agree or disagree, but the more you go to taking away from the more you go to increasing crankcase volume, it does kind of kill the mid-range and bottom end ground of the saw, and not many builders are going to disagree with that at all. Y'all, at least I'd hope not. That would mean crank stuffers or full circle cranks just didn't work at all. But you know, just take note of that, and we've mentioned it in other videos. But usually when I cut, I'm on the pipe before I go into the cut, no matter what I'm running anyway. Yeah, she's fun. She's a handful. That chain, I'd honestly never ran it. It was new out of the box. I was expecting it to be a lot more aggressive, but it don't go back under the top plate hardly any at all. I've shown a little clip of it, I think, but it's a fast cutting chain. It's really smooth. I was honestly pushing down and pulling up on that saw as hard as I could, and I'm a big guy. I've power lifted for like, not in the last year or so, but I've done a lot of power lifting in the last decade or so, we'll put it that way. But I ain't no weakling. But I don't know, we may go back into this saw and see if we can spice things up a little more. I don't know. She seems awful dang spicy as is, but this was fun. We do have another piece of that. I can always order more. I've got the piece I cut off of it. I've actually got a whole section of 1¼ pipe here I bought to do some pipes with, but just never have got around to doing anything with it. And honestly, it may be a little too big to try to make a pipe out of. I don't know, but I'm probably not going to do anything like that on a work saw. It's just god awful loud. But then again, who knows? We may try to make one for the 660 we done. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Again, you guys that sit and make multiple pipes for saws, my hat's off to you. It's time consuming. I ain't no welder, but I spent more time welding and grinding and shaping it to that little whatever you want to call it, the little plate that went in between the muffler and the cylinder. And I got to realizing if I wanted to put the muffler back on, I kind of screwed myself. But we could always just stack a few gaskets in there and make up it, probably a 1/16 of an inch or something. But anyway, we need to get this thing stickered up. I don't even have a sticker on the top of it. But anyway, I quit running my mouth. You guys let me know what you thought about this kind of video. Y'all have stay safe, and y'all have a great weekend.